Today we're talking about the Northwest Division, their offseason moves, and how I believe they'll perform this next coming season. Let's go. We're going to start with the Denver Nuggets. Now, their biggest things this offseason were how many pieces they added. They brought back Bruce Brown, who was a key role player in their championship year, and I love Bruce Brown. I'm 100% biased since I have a rookie 1-of-1 card of Bruce Brown, and I really just want him to win more to make that value skyrocket. He was a really big part of that team, especially where he could let the starters sit and still keep them ahead, even just when all the bench was coming in. And I think Bruce Brown is definitely a big part of this team coming this season. Tim Hardaway Jr., that's a good piece to just have off bench. He's not going to be consistent. You want to give those minutes to Bruce Brown, obviously. But he's a good guy just to have if you need him eventually. Now, the biggest thing was trading away Michael Porter Jr. for Cam Johnson. I think that only helps them. Now, Michael Porter Jr. has been with the team for a lot of years, and he works really well with Jokic. But Cam Johnson is just a better version, pretty much, where he can do everything that Michael Porter Jr. can do and more. So they definitely got better at the small forward position. And I'm really excited to see how he's going to play with one of the greatest players in the league like Jokic. I want to see how he works together with Jamal Murray and what is his role exactly, because we've seen him have to do a lot of the things by himself, especially on the Nets. So I'm very excited to see him be able to take a backseat role and attack the basket more leisurely. Their last addition was Jonas Valanciunas, who we were scared that wasn't going to be playing this year, but he was at Media Day. He's definitely playing with the Nuggets this coming year. And I think just as center rotation minutes, that's huge. The fact that Jokic can legit sit and there's a good center coming off bench is huge for them. Now, Valanciunas obviously is nowhere close to Jokic, but he can hold his own and he can be the big body that they need while their bench players like Bruce Brown go off. That being said, I think the Nuggets have to be a high playoff team. Even though the West is so strong, I think the Nuggets, since of how much they brought in and how little they did lose in this offseason, they have just gotten so much better. And Jokic is still Jokic. Jamal Murray, we know regular season he's good. Playoffs, he goes insane. So if they're able to fight in the regular season with Jokic, Cam Johnson, and Bruce Brown, and have Jamal Murray go insane in the playoffs, they can make a really deep run. It's going to be hard to fight a lot of teams in the West this year, but I do see them beating majority of the teams in the West. The Nuggets' ceiling is 100% championship. Like, you have Jokic. Jokic is one of the greatest players to ever play the game. If you have him, you have to be fighting for the championship, even though he probably doesn't really care or give a shit about the championship. But as the organization, you want to be fighting for that. So their ceiling is championship, and their floor is probably a second round exit. Obviously, with what they brought in, second round exit is definitely disappointing. On this channel, y'all will come to understand Minnesota's my team. And I love that we brought back Naz Reid on such a cheap deal for 5 years, and I knew he'd come back. All Minnesota fans love him so much that we are ready to die for that man. So bringing him back, bringing Julius Randle back. Obviously, when they traded for him, I was not very happy, since Julius Randle has a stigma around him that he's kind of a playoff choker. He gives up on plays sometimes. But last year in the playoffs, he was one of our best players. He was easily number 2. In a lot of games, number 1. So I am excited to see Julius Randle perform like he did last year, and hopefully even better. And him being around Ant, I think, is a really good fit. So you bring him back on a 3-year deal. You bring Joe Ingles back on just 1 year. He's a veteran guy. I don't think he'll get very many minutes, but like, you can't hate Joe Ingles. That's the thing. He's just a fun guy to have, and just veteran presence. Great for Ant, great for the young guys. Now we bring in Johnny Guzang. I don't know much about him. I've definitely heard of him, but he probably won't get that many minutes, especially since we need to be playing Rob Dillingham this year. Mike Conley and Rob Dillingham need to come to an understanding where I'm assuming beginning of season Mike Conley will be the starting point guard, but by All-Star break, I better see Rob Dillingham be starter. He's our young point guard that we traded up for in the draft to get. So let's play him. Like, we put things into him to get. Let's actually play him this year. Because I believe he can be a good point guard for us. And we need a good point guard. That's what Ants needed for a lot of years. I'm also thinking that Terrence Shannon Jr. might make a leap this year. Now, he didn't get very many minutes. But if we start giving Rob Dillingham and Terrence Shannon Jr. some more minutes, he can be our next key role player. Losing these two, it's not like a huge hit. Obviously, they didn't get a bunch of playtime. But the biggest hit was obviously losing Nickeil Alexander-Walker. He was one of our best role players. He was consistent enough to be on the court at any time and get the team good stats. Now, losing him to the Hawks really does hurt. Like I said when I was ranking the Hawks, they are definitely going to be 3rd or 4th seed, and I think Nickeil is a very big part of that. Us losing him does hurt quite a bit, but since we brought back Randall and Nas, Ant's just getting better. Rob Dillingham is just getting better. I think the Minnesota Timberwolves are easily a playoff team. I would say ahead of the Nuggets. We would probably end up as the 4th seed, maybe 3rd. Again, like, the West is so hard where you can't really judge where a team is going to be. Like, you can't know where a team is going to be this year since there's so much talent all over the West. But I fully believe that Minnesota is going to be a high seed and we're going to make a deep playoff run again for the 3rd year in a row. And I cannot wait to see it. Minnesota's ceiling is also championship. I think that might be the case for quite a few teams in the West. It's just that there's so many great teams and so many great players on all these teams that they easily are a championship level team. So their ceiling is championship. Their floor, I think since they didn't get much worse than last year, is conference finals. They made the conference finals 2 years in a row. Ant's getting better every single year. He's adding more things to his game. Naz Reid is getting better every year. Rob Dillingham can hopefully flourish into a good point guard. So their floor is definitely conference finals, I would say. Jesus. OKC pretty much only re-signed their star guys. Brought back Shea, brought back Chet, brought back Jalen Williams, AJ Mitchell, other Jalen Williams, Asian Duke Dennis. Now, they only lost one guy, Dylan Jones. Did he even play last year? I don't think he did. So just because he got straight to the Wizards, he's going to get playtime there at least. But they brought back almost every single person, and they're all 1 year older, and it's such a young team that they're all 1 year better. So it is kind of terrifying. But we know that Chet, if he falls once, he could be out for months. Even so, they still won a lot of freaking games without him since they have Isaiah Hartenstein as the backup, which is insane. This team is so freaking good that it's hard to bet against them since they have such a young team. They have the reigning MVP of the league. I don't know if I agree with that, but they have the reigning MVP of the league, one of the best centers in the league, one of the best small forwards in the league. They are definitely the hill to climb over for any other team trying to make it to the finals. And that's such a hill to climb, but some teams definitely can do it. So for that reason, I think OKC has to be a genuine, real contender. They're the reigning champs, have the reigning MVP. There's a high chance that they just go back to the finals. Now, obviously, Minnesota gonna beat them if we match up again, but it's hard. I wouldn't put money on either team because it could go either way, but OKC's a killer of a team. And again, OKC's ceiling is championship. They're the reigning champs. They have the same team almost. You just go back to win the championship. I would say their floor is also conference finals. If they don't at least make conference finals, that is very disappointing for OKC. Fully from this year on, they're not just, oh, they're young, it's okay if they failed in the playoffs. Since they won the championship, every year until this team breaks up, it is disappointing if they don't at least make it to conference finals. The thing with the Portland Trailblazers is that if you're a Trailblazers fan, there's no like sadness here. You finally get rid of DeAndre Ayton. You do lose Anthony Simons, which does kind of suck, but you bring back Drew Holiday, who we know is a damn good point guard, damn good veteran point guard with championship DNA. You bring back Damian Lillard by not even trading anything away because the Bucks just waived him. So you, what was it, 2 years without Dame, and then he just comes back? You have to love it as a Portland fan. Now, I want to see Scoot Henderson get a lot of minutes, especially because Dame might not play much this year, if he even does at all. But I want to see Scoot Henderson get a lot of minutes. And they have Deni Avdija, who's a young guy that's still just getting better. No one really thought he'd be this good, but he's getting better every year. I want to see Young Henson play good. I'm really excited to see Young Henson. I love that kid. He, on media day, draft night, he's just so entertaining as personality. I really want him to be entertaining on the court, and I actually cannot wait to see him. This is going to be a very intriguing team, and just very fun to watch. So I'm excited to see Portland games, even though Dame won't be playing many of them. Now, even though they're fun to watch, I still don't really see them even making play-in, because there are such hard teams in the West that to fight for a play-in spot, you have to be top 10. And if Dame's not playing, I don't see how this young team is going to break top 10. But their future is really freaking bright. You can trade away Drew Holiday like next year for good pieces, because every championship team would love a Drew Holiday. So you can definitely get a lot out of that. I'd say Portland's ceiling is probably a play-in team. If Dame does come back and he actually plays like the Dame we know instead of the Dame that was on the Bucks, they could definitely be a play-in team. But I'd say the floor is more realistic for them, where they end up at 12th seed, maybe 11th seed, and try to get another draft pick, and then build around Dame for the future and Scoot Henderson for the future. And Young Henson for the future. I love that kid. The Jazz are a weird spot, where they do have like a very young team still, but you bring in Kevin Love, you bring in Nurkic, Kyle Anderson ain't young anymore. And George Niang is still decently young, so that's a good addition. But you lose Jordan Clarkson, John Collins, Colin Sexton. Like, you lose a lot of guys that made the team who they were, especially just last year. So, and especially because they're younger guys, except for Jordan Clarkson. I think he's nearing 30 now, I believe. You bring in all these guys, and obviously you have Lauri Markkanen, and for the Jazz themselves, they know they're not a playoff team, and especially after this offseason, they know they are not. So you have to trade Lauri Markkanen just to get picks or something back for him. Like, I don't hate their future, but they have to be showing that they can make those big decisions, like trading Lauri Markkanen to invest in the future, because he's a good play. He's a damn good player right now, so he wants to win, and he's going to keep fighting to be winning, which is going to bring you guys out of like the top lottery picks. So for them, they have to trade Lauri Markkanen, get some good draft picks out of it, maybe get a young guy, and maybe just build their future. Now, I don't hate the fact that they're just building their future, but they have been building their future for quite a bit after Donovan Mitchell and Gobert left. And they're definitely just putting a lot of eggs into the Ace Bailey basket, which is not a bad thing to do. If the front office thinks that he's going to be their guy, then we'd love to see him be their guy. So we have to rely on that. I wouldn't say their future is absolutely terrible, but again, there's no way they're a playoff team. I can't put them in the trash just because of their future that they might have, and especially what they might get out of Lauri Markkanen. Depending on what that Markkanen trade turns into, they might move down to trash, just depending on what they actually get out of him. And the last ceiling is Utah Jazz. I don't even see them making the play-in as their ceiling. I think their ceiling is be 12th or 13th seed, because as on this team, you don't want to make playoffs. You want a good lottery pick, so their ceiling is to stay in around 13th seed, Obviously, you don't want to be 15th just because no one wants to be 15th seed. But their floor, I think, is 100% 15th seed. They have the opportunity to become 15th seed, which really hurts them. But all in all, getting a good draft pick no matter what helps. So I don't hate that for them, but obviously you want to fight to not be that bad. Thank you so much for watching. That was the Northwest Division. Next, we're going to be tackling the Southwest Division. See you there.